Santana. Here's Tony Pena aligns Team Dominican Republic. He has had just a little change to his lineup, not much. This has been his group throughout. Reyes, Machado, and Cano, Beltran, Polanco, and Castillo. Gregory Polanco established himself as the staff ace in the second half of the season. Reyes on a convenient hop for Brandon Crawford, and there's one gone in the last. He waits next as Machado swats a ground ball to Crawford. The two-time Gold Glover has a problem with it and then yanks the throw. Machado stays put. The 3-2 to Cano, ripped into the opposite field. Yelich is on the move and it's off the wall. Machado's being waved around. No throw to the plate, and the Dominican Republic strikes first.
Stays back, goes the other way. Almost jams himself, that type of swing, but he's so strong, and Yelich doesn't know where the ball is right away.
But is next. The swing and a miss. Lucroy's got to scurry over to try to get it.
Down in the zone to get a ground ball.
Lined into right, an RBI base hit. McCutcheon's there to cut it off quickly, but it won't stop Cruz from wrapping around to third. And the defending champs take an early 2-0 lead.
This lineup being good from 1 through 9. See the breaking ball.
Beaten on the ground to shortstop. Crawford's coming home, and they get the out to plate.
One hit hard enough for 2. He comes home. And I don't know if LaCroix's foot caught Cruz's foot, but the foot that
welcome to this WBC Championship telecast presented by Dove Men Plus Care. Tonight, we are, as we said earlier, in San Francisco. The Dominican Republic, favored in this matchup, undefeated in the tournament, taking on Puerto Rico to determine the 2013 WBC champions. Back with Jim Cott, I'm Bob Costas. Now, as we said, the Dominican Republic overall, if these two squads were to play a full season in the same division, undoubtedly the Dominican Republic would finish ahead of Puerto Rico. But baseball is unlike other sports when you talk about single game matchups. After all, Italy played baseball-rich nations close earlier in this tournament. And as Angel Pagan put it, names don't necessarily win baseball games. We proved it last year with the Giants winning the World Series. We'd like to prove it again tonight.
Well, and we've certainly seen that. You mentioned Italy and the Netherlands coming up, beating Cuba. So in this knockout type format, even though the Dominican Republic is loaded with all-stars and star major leaguers, Puerto Rico has held their own and made it all the way to the final game.
Well, when we talk about all-stars and top major leaguers, we're not talking about tonight's pitching pairing, which is part of what makes this intriguing in its own way.
Well, as we look at tonight's starters brought to you by Dove Men Plus Care, we're going to get a look at 35-year-old Giancarlo Alvarado. Never pitched in the big leagues. That's his numbers. In the World Baseball Classic, he pitched in Japan. He is really looking forward to this challenge tonight, carrying the flag of his country on his back. Samuel Deduno pitches for the Minnesota Twins. If he gets the ball in the strike zone, he has about as much movement on his pitches and is unhittable as any pitcher in this Classic.
He had 15 starts last year for the Twins, went 6-5, ERA about 4.5. He has a spot on their roster, but he is not assured a spot on their opening day roster. He's with them in spring training. So as is the case for a number of players in this tournament, this is also an audition for possible big league jobs.
No question. There's a lot of these players looking for exposure with the scouts in the stands, hoping that if they pitch well tonight, in the case of Deduno and Alvarado, they'll get a big league contract or at least a tryout.
With additional thoughts on tonight's pitchers, here's Tom Verducci.
Well, that's right. This tournament began with 16 teams and plenty of international star power. 7 former MVPs, 5 former batting champions, and 1 former Cy Young winner. But it's one of the charms of the tournament that right next to the All-Stars, you get the baseball dreamers and the baseball lifers. And in fact, the spotlight is on 2 of those tonight. Samuel Deduno and Giancarlo Alvarado have combined to pitch 26 professional seasons for 10 different organizations, and combined they have 6 major league wins, all of them by Deduno. Tonight the portfolio doesn't matter. All that matters is they get the ball at what most likely is the biggest game of their lives.
All right, Tom, thanks. You can pick out lots of examples. Nelson Figueroa at age 38 pitched in AAA a year ago, previously a big leaguer. He threw 6 shutout innings against the United States only several days ago. You don't necessarily have to be a superstar to win a single game, even a big game in baseball. We'll see what comes up next. We give you the lineups and get to the first pitch. Championship game from San Francisco is next. Welcome back to the WBC Championship game presented by Dove Men Plus Care with Jim Cott and Tom Verducci. I'm Bob Costas. And it has begun to rain, not heavily, but there has been rain in the forecast since last night. And this game will be played under regular season rules. It does not have to be played to a 9-inning conclusion, as would be the case in a World Series, for example. If the home team, in this case the Dominican Republic, is leading after 4.5, or the visitors Puerto Rico after 5 full, and they can't continue after that, that will be that.
Yeah, and you hate to see a championship decided like that, but these teams, players in these teams have to get back to their major league teams, and thus those kinds of rules are in effect for tonight's game.
Here's a look.
Samuel Doduno, quite a story. 15 starts with the Minnesota Twins, 6 wins. And when you see him pitch and see the movement on his pitches, probably from our center field camera, even he doesn't know where it's going. And if he gets it in the strike zone, you hate to say that a guy is literally unhittable, but he is that kind of pitcher that's capable of no-hitting a team.
Well, in 2 starts in this WBC, he has a victory and a no decision and an ERA of 1.13. He started against Team USA last Friday. Threw 4 innings, gave up 5 hits and 1 earned run, walked 2 and struck out 7 in a no decision.
Tony Pena with his pitching coach Bill Castro right there, and both managers will, you mentioned it's beginning to drizzle, and with the regular season rules in effect, it's always important to score first, but particularly against the Dominican Republic, you want to score first. As you see, their 7-0 record because their bullpen has dominated this event, and both managers are going to look to get that first run on the board should it be a rain-shortened game.
And for Angel Pagan, a warm welcome on a chilly night in San Francisco. Pagan hitting a robust .367 in the WBC. Last year led the National League with 15 triples. This is a quirky ballpark. The deepest dimension is to right center, 421. So if a ball is hit in the gap, especially in that direction, you can run a while. That leads to a lot of triples. Duno's first pitch is high and away. The plate umpire is Ted Barrett, who works in the major leagues. Half of the 6 umps are major league umpires, and the other half are from international backgrounds.
And you mentioned the dimensions of AT&T Park. Our good friends and colleagues that occupy this booth when the Giants play, Mike Krukow and Dwayne Kuiper, call that Triples Alley.
That one's down and in, 2-0. Nelson Cruz in right field has Pagan played way off the line. All kinds of room between Cruz and the 309 sign in right. 309 down the right field line, 339 to left, 399 to straightaway center, 421 to that alley in right center.
And unlike previous games, last 2 nights, just a gentle breeze tonight at AT&T Park.
And the 3-1 pitch is lined hard to right, falls in front of Cruz. Leadoff hit for Pagan. He has stolen a couple of bases in the WBC, and there's been a lot of small ball played in this tournament.
And I would look for that to be the case right now. Got a 3-1 fastball, middle in, ready for it. And that immediately sets up a possibility of Falou trying to drop down a sacrifice bunt. Hanley Ramirez certainly looking for it.
Creeping in at third. No sign of the bunt. Called strike. Falou played 24 games with the Royals last season. Made the most of that opportunity, hitting .341. He is a switch hitter like Pagan, who preceded him, and Beltran, who will follow him. So the first 3 in the order for Puerto Rico hit from both sides of the plate. The Dominican Republic is the home team tonight by virtue of its better overall record in the tournament, which includes 2 victories head-to-head against Puerto Rico. There's the bunt, but it's foul.
Yeah, and a very poor attempt by Falou there. If you're going to sacrifice, you get the bat out in front of the plate and give yourself up. He almost bunted at that.
Actually
like he was,
missed it.
Yeah,
I thought
like he was bunting for a base hit. And any time the barrel of the bat is below the ball and the bat is behind you, you have very little chance of bunting it into fair territory on the ground.
Beltran, the DH tonight, awaiting his turn. A little tapper. It stays fair, and there's the out at first with Pagan moving up.
Let's check out the defense behind Samuel Deduno for Team Dominicana. Moises Sierra in center, Alejandro Diaza in center, Sierra's in left, Nelson Cruz over in right, Hanley Ramirez, Jose Reyes on the left side of the infield, Robinson Cano with a couple of Gold Gloves at second, Edwin Encarnacion at first, Carlos Santana does the catching.
Jose Reyes chatting with Angel Pagan as Beltran settles into the box. He has played in all 3 WBCs to date, hitting just .207 in this one without a home run. Fouled away. He is, as you know, one of the great postseason performers ever. A .363 playoff and World Series hitter with 14 homers in 34 postseason games. Throw in 11 stolen bases in October as well.
If there were ever a postseason where one player parlayed a good week into hefty contracts, it was the postseason he had in the Houston Astros.
And on to the Mets from there.
Yes.
The 1-1 pitch. Off speed and in there. 1-2. Beltran's Cardinal teammate Yadier Molina waits on deck. Got him swinging for the second out.
Well, you see a hitter like Beltran swinging at a pitch this far out of the strike zone, it gives you an idea of the natural stuff that Sammy Deduno has.
So here's Molina at .304 in the tournament. 4-time All-Star, 5-time Gold Glover, and has done his usual masterful job handling this Puerto Rican pitching staff, which is really not terribly deep, not loaded with major league quality performers, but he's kind of coaxed them through.
Boy, coaxed and carried. I mean, he puts a finger down, they throw it. There's no shaking off. And in addition to being a great catcher, Bob, I think what he has really become known for as well, he's been a very good RBI guy. His average may not be among the league leaders, but with men on base, he's been very productive during his career.
Pagan, who opened the game with a single, is at second now with 2 out. Deduno ahead of Molina, 0-2. Curveball caught him looking. Well, he does have some interesting stuff if he can control it. Yachty saying, where was it? It was in there. There's your answer. Half an inning gone by, no score. Here's a look at the Dominican Republic Subway starting lineup. Packed with stars, and that despite the fact that the likes of Pujols and Jose Bautista and Adrian Beltre took a pass. Just as big stars from other countries did the same. Many from the United States. Ichiro didn't make it for Japan. Neither did Darvish or Kuroda. Not everybody accepts the invitation, but still, Dominican Republic pretty well stocked.
And the pitcher that has to face that lineup, 35-year-old Giancarlo Alvarado. This is numbers with Yokohama last year in the Japanese League.
He's 35 years old, 6'4" and 210, from Santurce, Puerto Rico, and is 1-1 to Reyes. Is hit hard and deep to right. Back goes Alex Rios, turning, and it's off the wall. To second is Reyes, and he slides in safely there. So a leadoff double, and already trying to ignite the crowd.
Oh, it doesn't take him long. I think to a man, Team Dominicana has said they have had more fun for these last 2 weeks. There's a pitch in the center of the plate, and Reyes centers it. Off the wall. Rios plays it, and Reyes has a sliding double to start things for the Dominican.
Not far from making it over. over that Levi's landing sign and into that first row of seats. Didn't miss a homer by all that much. High off the wall. So here's the switch hitter Eric Ibar of the Angels. Hitting .278 in the tournament. Squares and lays down a nice bunt. To third is Reyes as Gonzalez throws Ibar out.
Now that's how you bunt. Well done.
Ibar's already played an important role in this series. A pinch hit single off Craig Kimbrell of the USA, the Atlanta Braves closer, in the 9th inning of what was then a tie game, which the Dominican Republic won 3-1 last Thursday night.
You see Ibar turns around, has the bat out in front of the plate, gives himself up. Only one play for Gonzalez at third.
Teams do not sacrifice as much as they used to in past generations, and yet even playing in the American League, Ibar has nearly 50 sacrifice bunts over the last 5 years. Excellent bat handling.
That's been a useful tool here for all teams in the World Baseball Classic. Pleasant exchange between Molina and Cano, and they're going to walk Robinson Cano with Edwin Encarnacion on deck. That's how critical it is to keep that first run off the board.
Now, they walked him intentionally each of his last 2 times at bat last night against the Netherlands. Here's Encarnacion on deck. He had 42 homers and 110 RBIs a year ago for Toronto, and yet they want no part of Cano, who's hitting .517 in the tournament with a couple of homers.
And if his Yankee teammates keep going down because of injury the way they are, he'll see a lot of this during the season. Leads the World Baseball Classic in hits, as you saw, with 15.
Age and injuries have taken the Yankees out of that favorites role in the American League East. So Cano, as you mentioned, might not have all that much protection around him in the lineup, and it is his free agent year. They're still dickering about a contract. He turned down the Yankees' first offer. So if that goes through the season, his performance will mean either plus or minus dollars. It's going to be large dollars no matter what, but give or take.
Saw in your picture briefly there Ricky Bonas, the Puerto Rican pitching coach, holding up first finger, which means look out on the first pitch. Probably be a breaking ball.
Back looking for the double play outside for ball 1.
There's Ricky in your picture on the left of manager Edwin Rodriguez.
Center field toward right center. On the run is Pagan. He's not going to be able to get there. It'll go all the way to the wall. 1 run will come home, and then 2. Cano around third to score, and the strategy backfires. They walk him intentionally, and Encarnacion, with his first extra base hit of the entire tournament, brings home 2.
They've dominated this tournament so far. They've done it with their pitching, but now their offense gets going. A flat slider from Alvarado, and Encarnacion drives it to the wall in right center. A 2-run lead is important for just about any team, but when you give the Dominican team a 2-run lead early with their bullpen, you're in big trouble already.
Rude reception for Hanley Ramirez, which has little to do with Hanley and everything to do with the fact that shortly he'll trade the uniform of the Dominican Republic in for the Dodger uniform. Bitter rivals of the Giants. You look at Giancarlo Alvarado and you consider his background. He was 1-6 a year ago in 8 starts with the Yokohama Bay Starts. Yokohama is the worst team in the 6-team Central League in Japan, and they released him. And he's starting this game for his native country, Puerto Rico, with the WBC title on the line.
And those familiar that have followed the Classic know about pitch limits and when pitchers are eligible to pitch again. Nelson Figueroa, who did such a great job against Team USA, would not be eligible to pitch until tomorrow. He would be the logical starter they'd like to use. So Alvarado really is a third or fourth choice on the depth chart. Iram Burgess, promising young pitcher, beginning to loosen up in the Puerto Rican bullpen already.
Ball fouled back to the screen and bat down the third base line.
Both Ricky Bonas and Edwin Rodriguez speaking very highly of Burgess. They wanted to give the start obviously to Alvarado, but it won't be long before you'll see the young right-hander in there if he doesn't get out of this jam right here.
In the WBC, Alvarado has done pretty well statistically, 1-0, ERA 2.16, but his 2 starts were against Spain and then Italy. He beat Spain, no decision against the Italians. And his 2-2 coming to Ramirez. Alvarado trying to limit the damage. The only man he has retired was Ibar on a sacrifice bunt. Doubles by Reyes and Encarnacion and an intentional walk to Cano mixed in. Full count. Alvarado was signed by the Pirates back in 1995, but he has never made a major league appearance. He has more than 400 appearances in the minors, in various independent leagues, and in Japan, but has never pitched in a major league game. And his 3-2 to Ramirez. In the air to shallow center. Make it right center now, with Rios drifting over to make the catch. So here's the right fielder, Nelson Cruz. Like Carlos Beltran, one of his opponents tonight, he has a glowing postseason history. 14 homers in 34 career postseason games, including 6 homers in the 2011 ALCS for the Rangers. And yet the thing for which he is probably most remembered is perhaps misplaying the fly ball off the bat of David Freese with 2 out on the bottom of the 9th in Game 6 of that year's World Series. It turned into a triple, prolonged the game, and the Cardinals came back to win that one and the next night.
It's another one of those examples, Bob, of all the statistics that are available in our game. How many home runs, RBIs, things like that, but it's those simple plays that you just referred to that determine who wins and who loses most of the time.
Alvarado's 2-0 to Cruz. It skips away, and skipping on to third is Encarnacion.
Well, let's see. Don't see that very often. The ball getting away from Yadier Molina. Tried to, I don't know if he tried to backhand it and had his eye on the base runner at the same time. That's not usually Yadi's style. He'll get his body out there and block that pitch. That was unusually sort of a complacent attempt by him.
See if Cruz is swinging on 3-0, it gets the outside corner. The catcher, Carlos Santana, is on deck. In on his fists and popped up into foul ground. Andy Gonzalez puts it in to the bottom of the first. This World Baseball Classic Championship telecast is presented by Dove Men Plus Care. Care for what matters, and by Cisco. Tomorrow starts here. And Subway, the official training restaurant of Mike Trout, Ryan Howard, and athletes everywhere. Staked to a 2-0 lead, Samuel DeDuno faces Mike Aviles in the top of the second. He lifts one back to the plate. Santana has it.
See Mike Aviles shaking his head. He has one of the 2 home runs that Team Puerto Rico has hit. The other one by Alex Rios, stepping in right now. So when you lack that kind of power, it makes it even more difficult to come back even from a 2-0 deficit against this Dominican pitching staff.
Rios hadn't done much in the WBC until the semifinal game the other night against Japan, when he snapped out of it by going 2 for 4 with that home run. Wow. 0-2.
Well, if there's any question about Samuel DeDuno's control so far, it's spot on. Watch that front knee. You see, we call it the jelly leg. You see Alex Rios, that front knee just kind of gave way a little bit.
You think Ron Gardenhire and Terry Ryan are paying attention to what's happening tonight, at least so far?
They know what they have here if they can get him to throw the kind of pitches he's thrown here in the early going.
He's 29 years old, so he's been around a while. 6'3", 190 from La Romana in the Dominican Republic. His 1-2 pitch to Rios got him swinging for his 3rd strikeout.
Looked like another good break. It's tough to tell whether it was a curveball or a changeup, because all of his pitches have so much movement. Curveball. And I think he knows, too, the security of the pitchers he has behind him. That was a changeup. Yep, you could see by the grip, it had the same break as a curveball. You know, most through the naked eye, you'd say that was a curveball. When you saw that grip, where almost the entire hand was around it, that's an indication it was a change of speeds. I'd love to have a change up with that kind of movement. And the security factor is that Tony Pena has said, no, none of this if I got the lead after 7. If I have the lead in 3rd or 4th, and I have to, he's got Dotel, he's got Pedro Strop, he's got Fernando Rodney. Got a handful of power pitchers he can go to. So they probably told Samuel, just throw as many strikes as you can, as quickly as you can, and we'll get to that bullpen. So far, he's doing it.
A bit of a drizzle at the outset of the game. That has disappeared, at least for the time being.
And that's a factor, too, for those who were with us from the start. We're playing it under regular season rules. So it could be a rain-shortened game if the predictions are true, that it's supposed to begin to rain quite heavily.
4 strikeouts for DeDuno, 2 in each of his first 2 frames. Welcome back to the WBC Championship game, presented by Dove Men Plus Care with Jim Cott and Tom Verducci. I'm Bob Costas. Well, Edwin Rodriguez taking no chances after a very shaky first inning from Giancarlo Alvarado. He immediately goes to his bullpen, and here is Iram Borges, who has not allowed an earned run in 8 1/3 innings of work in this WBC. In fact, pitched 3 2/3 scoreless innings out of the bullpen in a win in Puerto Rico's first elimination game in this tournament against Italy.
Yeah, when you look at those numbers last year, combined Class A, AA, AAA, very impressive.
First man he'll face is Carlos Santana. Switching catcher with the Indians. They got him from the Dodgers in a deal a few years ago for Casey Blake. Blake was a useful veteran, but that is no doubt a deal the Dodgers regret.
Probably like the Doyle Alexander for John Smoltz, our colleague.
Maybe not quite, but
back at 8. Of course, that helped the Tigers
at the time, sure.
87, but the Braves got a Hall of Fame starter and reliever in that deal. Ricky Bonas, Puerto Rican pitching coach, no swing on that pitch. There's Ricky. Said, you're going to hear about this kid. 25. He's got 4 pitches. He's not overpowering, but as you saw by his numbers at A, AA, AAA, earned run average combined under 2.
Two balls and 2 strikes to Carlos Santana.
That looked like a change-up, and it was. You know, a lot of the Latin American players that have pitched some in winter ball have much better command of their off-speed pitches. And over here in spring training, the pitchers are just beginning to develop those. These guys been using it all winter.
Chopper, fair ball. Rivera over to Borges covering.
Well, in addition to Carlos Rivera at first, let's check out the rest of the defense for Team Puerto Rico. Around the outfield, they have Jesus Feliciano, Angel Pagan, and Alex Rios. Andy Gonzalez, Mike Aviles, Irving Falou, and Carlos Rivera, and of course the gold standard Gold Glover Yadier Molina behind the plate. Friendly exchanges between these two teams, even though there's quite the rivalry between the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico for baseball supremacy.
Here's Moises Sierra. Swings on the first pitch. Skies it to center. It sends Pagan to the edge of the warning track for the catch.
He was an impact player last night for Team Dominican. Moises Sierra with a great catch. And the first RBI for them.